how would you characterize the Haleigh Cummings investigation at
Well,
this
it's
time?
still an active investigation. I don't know if we can really put it at a stage, really classify it as that, but, since February 10th when we initially, received this case and started investigating it, we've continued to work it nonstop since that time.
Are you still getting as many leads, tips as you were getting before?
We're not getting as many daily. When it initially happened back in February, we were receiving hundreds of tips a day. Now, and we're receiving on a good day 10 to 15 tips a day. The problem with a lot of tips is, the majority of the tips are people's opinions, and trying to give us advice on how to conduct the investigation. It's not really physical tips, stuff that we can follow up on. So, and a lot of them are duplicates. We get a majority of these tips are really things we've already received or already looked into. So, but I can say every time we do receive a new tip that, we investigate. That's kind of how, like our pond draining incident, that is a result of information we obtained, in this case, and really it made a lot of, got a lot of news coverage, but it was really just another search, that we've conducted in this case.
And going to manpower and kind of what the agency is expending on this, how many people are permanently assigned?
Well, what we have is, we have a major crimes unit that's assigned to working, violent crimes. And we've actually got one investigator, Investigator Cohn. She is the case agent on this. And we also have, a homicide investigator, Detective John Merchant, who's kind of he's not the case agent, but he's working hand in hand, because really right now we're working this as a missing person, because we haven't received any relevant information to this date that she's deceased. But we do keep our homicide investigator in the loop and in this investigation in the event we do discover she's not alive anymore. So those two, work hand in hand, but every morning we have a 6-man major crimes unit that meet every morning. They brief on the case, and if there's people that need to be interviewed in a group, or if there's a search that doesn't require us calling in officers, those 6 individuals can break at any minute and go out and find somebody if we need to for an interview or conduct interviews. So, and we also have an agent with FDLE that has been assigned to work on this case with us, and has been working out of our office, going through the tips again, just making sure we have not missed a tip that's come in.
So at this point, is this more an investigation about following up on tips and things that people provide and not so much forensics? Or are you guys still looking at forensics?
Well, when we obtain new forensic information, we do, but right now we're having to follow up on tips. All the forensic information has been given, to FDLE, and they have it. So really right now it's coming down to old-fashioned police work and, conducting interviews and following up on those tips.
And of what was collected, which I don't think you guys have gone into, there's been nothing, no smoking gun or anything that you can...
Really can't release any information that's, about the evidence, what we have and what physical evidence we do have.
The major activity on the case, the major activity that seems to be connected to the case seems to have been the arrest of people on unrelated matters, but people who are either family members or friends of Misty Crosland Cummings or Ronald Cummings himself. I mean, can you characterize what's going on there?
Well, these arrests are by no means, intentionally related to this Haleigh Cummings case. These individuals that are being arrested for other things they're doing out there in the community. But we've always taken the stance that if we have an opportunity of speaking to somebody that might know something in this case, we're going to speak with them. So that's where we've gotten into the position where if one of these people that we recognize that might know something in this case is arrested, we're going to go and try to talk to them.
In the letter that the St. Augustine Record got, you guys haven't, you released the location of the pond, but you're not going into the location of the site that you checked on that. Is there a difference in that letter, or is that why you're treating that a little differently?
Well, we haven't released any letters. We haven't released any documents at all in this case. The only release that I know was made was the one letter to the St. Augustine Record, which really didn't deal with a pond, it dealt with a possible burial site. And we haven't released that because it is part of this criminal investigation. I believe the St. Augustine Record published it in their paper, and that's their option. It was delivered to them, but we have not released any documents or photographs in this case.
What would you want the community to know about the work that the Sheriff's Office is doing on this investigation?
Well, I mean, I can promise the citizens, especially of Putnam County, that we are taking every means available to us to come to a resolution in this case. You know, we want an end to this like the family does. You know, this has become part of us now. We've been working this case for over 7 months. You know, and we want to find Haleigh and bring her home to her family. And whatever it takes, we're going to do it.
But at this point, you are characterizing the case as less a stranger abduction and more of a, I mean,
yeah, we're really don't see it as being a stranger abduction, because really the physical evidence, there was no forced entry into the house. So really, the odds of how would the stranger have gotten in there to have a stranger abduction? You know, so we really don't feel it's that way. We really we want to know the events that surrounded that evening. I mean, that's the big gap that we're trying to overcome here right now, is what exactly happened that evening.
Can you, without compromising the investigation, tell me what is the time frame that you have the question about, from where to where?
Well, we really just the whole evening that night, anytime after about 7 o'clock. I mean, we have, around 7 o'clock, we have a grandmother saying she saw Haleigh, you know.
Is that maternal or paternal?
I believe it was the paternal grandmother.
Ms. Neves?
Ms. Neves.
Okay.
You know, and and between then and when we received the call at, you know, whatever, 2:13 in the morning, sometimes shortly after 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, we need to know what was going on that night. All we've been able to obtain at this point are sketchy statements from Misty Crosby. You know, we do not know what she was doing that night.
And where did Mr. Cummings leave for work?
He works at a bridge building place here.
He was gone before 7 p.m.?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And Ms. Neves was over at the house?
I'm really not sure, and I can't go into detail, but we do have, I mean, there's
confirmation
out there that somebody saw her earlier in the evening.
And you guys are comfortable with that?
Yeah.
That's where it becomes, as you've always said, Miss Haleigh Cummings becomes the key person.
She's the key person, and we'll still say that. You know, we still, from the details she's providing us and what the physical evidence is telling us, that's all I can really say about that, the two stories and what we see, they don't match up.